you today's play of the game. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
Welcome into our Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Final score here today in Milwaukee in the rubber game of this three-game series. The Brewers 7 and the Padres 1 as the Padres dropped to 25-18. Brewers improved to 24-17. The Brewers take 2 out of 3 from the Padres. Lot to do on our post-game coverage. We'll recap this one from start to finish. We have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. We'll head back to American Family Field in Milwaukee, hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. As always, our post-game coverage brought to you by Jamul Casino Resort. Hey, player, need a little me time? Jamul Spa was just named one of the top 100 spas in America. Jamul Casino Resort. The Players' Place. Well, after what was such a fun post game yesterday, Gavin Sheets, the go-ahead 3-run home run in the 9th inning. Padres with another come-from-behind win. Well, I'm not going to lie to you, not quite a fun post game here today. This was a tough one for the Padres. Really started from the first inning, bottom half of the inning. Griffin Canning walking 4 batters in a row, a 2-run single. Padres trailed 3-0. Brewers then scored 3 more runs against Canning in the second, and through 2 innings today, Padres were down 6-0. And then on top of that, the Padres offense just did not do much at all against Brewers starter Kyle Harrison. They did get a run in the 9th inning to make it a 7-1 game, and that would end up being our final score. But sometimes a game is as simple enough as just looking at these starting pitching lines. Griffin Canning went an inning and 2/3, 6 earned runs given up. Kyle Harrison went 5 scoreless innings, and that sort of tells you the story of how this game went. As far as Canning, just didn't have command. Now, what was interesting about the first inning in particular was, there were big misses from Canning, but a lot of the misses were not all that far off the plate. And, there was a little confusion on, it looked like he was really wanting to challenge and, almost like signaling to Freddie Fermin that he wanted to challenge, but the challenges were coming in too late. Regardless of all that, bottom line is Canning did something in that first inning you just can't do, which is walk 4 batters in a row. And then you had the 2-run single by Rengifo that made it a 3-0 game. And then he went back out for the second, gave up 3 more runs. And look, anytime you're down 6-0 after 2 innings, it's going to be a tall hill to climb. And the Padres offense did not do a whole lot today to pick up their starting pitcher. Although, again, they were put in a pretty tough spot today, down 6-0 after 2 innings. So pretty simple ball game to recap, to be honest with you, because of the struggles for Griffin Canning early. Padres fell behind by a lot. They could never recover. Really, the only silver lining in this game was that the Padres bullpen, and this has been consistent over the course of the last couple of weeks, the bullpen did their part today. And most importantly, they saved arms today. Ron Marinaccio, 2 1/3 innings. Yuki Matsui, 2 innings. Matt Waldron, who was the bulk innings guy on Tuesday, got roughed up. To Matt's credit, went back out today through 2 scoreless innings. We'll see what the future holds for Matt in a Padres uniform, with Lucas Giolito probably looming in his Padres debut at some point over the weekend in Seattle. But hey, those guys did a good job out of the bullpen today, making sure that the Padres only needed to use 3 arms after Canning only went an inning and 2/3 in this game. So good job by those guys to save the bullpen a little bit. But again, really aside from that, not a whole lot to smile about in this game from a Padres standpoint. Tough outing for Canning. Offense didn't do a whole lot, and the Padres lose 7-1 in the rubber game of this series. First road series loss of the season for the Padres. Believe it or not, they've been a very good road team, but they do lose 2 out of 3 in Milwaukee, and now they'll head to Seattle for the start of a 3-game series beginning tomorrow. When we come back, we'll recap this game from start to finish. We'll have the radio highlights for you. Head back to Milwaukee. Hear from Craig Stammen coming up a little bit later as well. Final score, Brewers 7 and the Padres 1 on the Padres Radio Network. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. As we wrap this one up, Padres fall 7-1 to the Milwaukee Brewers on this Thursday afternoon. As always, our post-game coverage brought to you by Jamul Casino Resort, the Players' Place. Padres will head on to Seattle for the start of a 3-game series against the Mariners tomorrow. Randy Vasquez on the mound for the Padres tomorrow. We'll talk more about that game coming up a little bit later on. But first, let's recap this one from start to finish.
Which moments determine the outcome of today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game highlights on the Padres Radio Network.
Brewers lefty Kyle Harrison making the start in the final game of this 3-game series. Padres put runners on second and third with 2 outs, but they did not score in the opening frame. Griffin Canning took the mound in the bottom half of the inning. It didn't go great. Canning walked Bryce Terang with 1 out. He walked William Contreras. He walked Gary Sanchez. He then walked Andrew Vaughn. As a run came in, 4 straight walks. Brewers had a 1-0 lead. They weren't done. Luis Rengifo was next.
3-2 with the bases loaded, 1 out, and the pitch is hit hard on the ground right side. That'll find its way into right center and a base hit. Contreras has scored. Sanchez is on his way. The throw comes into second base. A 2-run single for Luis Rengifo, and the first hit of the day for the Brewers gives them a 3-0 lead.
Yeah, kind of amazing. They had a 1 hit, but 3 runs in that first inning, a 3-0 lead. The Brewers then struck again in the second against Canning. David Hamilton hit a leadoff single. He went all the way to third base on an errant pickoff throw. That set things up for Bryce Terang.
2-1. The pitch. Terang swings, lines it into left field. That'll get the job done. It's going to find the gap roll all the way to the base of the wall. Hamilton walks home, an easy 2 for Bryce Terang. The RBI double makes it 4-0 here in the second.
Didn't get a whole lot better from that point. Gary Sanchez hit an RBI double. Andrew Vaughn hit an RBI single. 3 more runs for the Brewers in the second. It was a 6-0 game. Canning came out of the game after just an inning and 2/3. 6 runs, 5 hits allowed. He walked 4. Ron Marinaccio finished the second. Marinaccio would give up a run in the 4th inning, the only run he allowed in 2 innings and a third. Meanwhile, Harrison was good today. 5 scoreless innings. He struck out 7. Padres did get runners on first and third with 1 out against him in the 4th inning, but they did not score. And from that point on, to be honest with you, not a whole lot to tell you about. The Brewers just kept on leading 7-0. Again, the Padres bullpen did a good job in this game, saving some arms. Ron Marinaccio, 2 1/3 innings. Yuki Matsui threw 2 scoreless innings out of the bullpen. Matt Waldron came in out of the pen after appearing on Tuesday. He went 2 scoreless innings out of the bullpen, but the problem was the Padres offense did not get a whole lot going after Harrison went 5 scoreless innings. DL Hall, a scoreless 6th inning. Grant Anderson, a scoreless 7th inning. Brian Fitzpatrick, a scoreless 8th inning. Padres did get a run after an error, a single, a walk, a fielder's choice off the bat of Sung Moon Song, who had come in for Xander Bogaerts to get him off his feet. RBI for Song made it 7-1 in the 9th inning, but that was all the offense the Padres would get today. In the final score in Milwaukee in the rubber game of this series, the Brewers 7 and the Padres 1. Final totals here today for the Padres: 1 run, 7 hits, 2 errors, and for the Brew Crew, 7 runs, 10 hits, and 1 error. The Padres dropped to 25-18, and the Brewers improved to 24-17. When we return, we'll hear from Padres manager Craig Stammen. Again, the Padres fall in the rubber game of this series. They lose 2 out of 3 in Milwaukee. We'll hear from the Padre manager when we come back. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score today, Brewers 7 and the Padres 1. As the Padres lose the rubber match of this three-game series, they head on to Seattle for the start of a three-game series tomorrow. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. We'll head back to American Family Field in Milwaukee in just a moment. Hear some post-game reaction from Craig Stammen. I think the headline of today's game, just a really tough start for Griffin Canning, who did not have his command early in this game. He ends up going an inning and 2/3, 6 runs given up, walking for 64 pitches. And, look, we talked about it pregame. Canning, his first couple of starts, I thought actually were really good. And I know, and I said it pregame, that if you just looked at his ERA over 2 starts, you would say, well, hey, he's got almost a 7 ERA. But I said, well, that doesn't really take into context. He was really good the first outing, 5 innings, 1 run given up. And then when he gave up 6 runs in the second outing, remember, that was the game where Fernando Tatis Jr. had the ball go under his glove, and then the inning totally unraveled, and you had what became a 6 earned run spot against Canning in a single inning. But really, aside from that, he had been good. Today, it was a different kind of story. Canning just did not have the command. He was missing in that first inning. He did something you just can't do in a Major League Baseball game in the opening inning, and that is walk 4 in a row. And then you had the 2-run single by Rengifo. Padres were down 3-0, 3 more runs in the second for the Brewers, and all of a sudden, the Padres were down 6-0 after 2 innings in this game. So no doubt today that was the biggest issue, the start by Griffin Canning. However, I do want to point out, and it doesn't give me any pleasure to do this, but it was another really quiet day for the Padres offense. I mean, look, I'm not trying to pour cold water on the win yesterday and what they continue to do, okay? And I've said it how many times. They have done a terrific job at just finding ways to win. And yesterday, a prime example, another comeback, more fight, another big swing. Absolutely. Totally true. Yesterday was a terrific win and a terrific moment in swing for Gavin Sheets. But I'll give you the little flip side and the little alternate reality here. And that is they were awfully close to getting swept in this series if Gavin Sheets does not have that result in the 9th inning yesterday. And the bottom line is the Padres, I think there are 2 issues right now that today, again, reminded us of. Number one, they're just not getting production out of the big guys, not in the way that you need them. Bogart's 0 for 3 today. Tatis was 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts today. His average is now down to 244 as he continues to struggle. Manny was 1 for 3 today with a single. Jackson Merrill got the day off today, so you can't say anything about him. Laureano did have a base hit today. He was 1 for 4, but again, all in all, the Padres scored 1 run. And when they did have opportunities in this game, and they did have opportunities with runners in scoring position, they went 0 for 9 and they left 10 on base. Now, I want to be fair. Anytime for any offense in baseball, you're down 6-0 after 2 innings, it's going to be a tough day at the office. You're asking your offense to do a lot. You're asking a Herculean type effort from your offense to go win that game. And look, to the Padres' credit, they've trailed by 6 runs this year and come back to win the game. So they've shown the ability to come back and do something like that, but you're asking a lot from your offense. So I do think today's game falls in a little bit of a different category. The way the start went for Griffin Canning did not put this offense in a really good position to ultimately help the Padres win this game. But beyond even just the big guys continuing to struggle, and from a run-producing standpoint, there hasn't been a whole lot of it, and we've talked about this so much, how important that's going to be in the big picture of this season. The other issue continues to be this. I'm going to give you, in fact, another issue after that. But the issue continues to be the Padres are just falling behind a lot. If you look at the run differential in the first 3 innings of games this season, this is after today, the Padres are being outscored 69-35 in the first 3 innings of games. So essentially that's a negative 34 run differential in the first 3 innings of games. Now, we've told you about the numbers in the final 3 innings. It's flipped on its head. They're great late in the game. I think the point is, and today again was kind of an exacerbated example of it because it went so off the rails with Canning. But today it was another good example. It's just a tough way to live when you're falling behind, and they're just being outscored by a lot. Again, negative 34 run differential in the first 3 innings of games. Says a lot right there. It proves out what's been the feel of this team, which is A, they fall behind a lot, and B, to their credit, they come back a lot. But man, again, over the course of a long year, that number's got to even out in the early part of games. I really think that it's a dangerous way to live, falling behind in these games as frequently as the Padres have. Again, I think today was a little bit of a different scenario because, anytime any offense in baseball that falls behind 6 runs in 2 innings, you're asking for a lot. But look, it does remain in that theme of one of the major issues for this team in the first quarter of the season. The other issue offensively today, to be honest with you, the Padres are just striking out a lot. How about this? The Padres have now struck out 10 or more times in 6 consecutive games. It's the most games in a row they've struck out 10 or more times since 2019. So they're striking out a lot. They struck out 36 times in this series, most strikeouts in a 3-game series since August of 2023. So again, I'm not trying to pile on here, but my point is this offense continues to be in a place that I think makes you nervous. And I think the reason it makes you nervous is because you just feel like they've been figuring it out despite the offense not producing and their star players not producing from a run production standpoint that you expect them to. And they figured it out to their credit, and they've been tough, and they've been gritty, and they're finding ways to win. And they entered today in first place in the National League West, but it just feels like this constant playing from behind. It feels like there's a danger that it's going to catch up with you over the course of a long season. Today, again, little bit of a different example because, to be honest with you, and we'll get to Stammen in a moment. I know I've been rambling on here. To be honest with you, days like this are going to happen. They are. Over the course of an 162-game baseball season, you are going to have days where your starting pitcher doesn't have it. He gives up a bunch of runs early. You fall way behind and you lose the game. A team that wins 110 games is going to have a day like that, day or 2 or 3 like that over the course of a season. So today was a little bit different, in my opinion, but I did think this series, kind of continued, aside from the Sheets home run. Some of the offensive issues certainly continued, and we'll see if they can start getting the offense going a little bit more in Seattle. All right, enough of me talking. Let's go back to Milwaukee at American Family Field and hear some post-game reaction.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres skipper Craig Stammen. Served up by Sinley Food. If you've had better chicken, you must be a rooster.
It starts with quickly just not having a start.
Yeah, it's definitely couldn't find the strike zone. Walked 4 hitters in a row, and even the other batters was just a struggle just to get in the zone, and then to command any of his off-speed pitches was pretty difficult today. So not his day, but he'll get back out there the next time and we'll be just fine.
Kind of goes without saying that makes it awful difficult.
Yeah, it's always tough, to get down 6-0 early and then, try to fight back. We've been fighting back all year. Sooner or later, just you can't put yourselves in those type of holes all the time.
How can you do more offensively in those first few innings? Obviously, today on the pitching side, Kevin strikes out, but offensively, not scoring enough early. How do you go about?
Yeah, we're just not scoring the runs. That first inning, we had a double and single just with 2 outs. And, second and third, and Sheets hits one, makes a diving play, and gets him out. So can't really say anything about the first inning, and then we kind of battled him. I mean, we had thrown 90 pitches in 5 innings, and he didn't walk anybody, so it means we were taking pretty solid at bats. We had a few hits off him, but we just weren't able to, punch that through. I think we were, 0 for whatever with runners in scoring position. So I think, the next piece, once you take good at bats, is to, finish it off, and find a way to, score some runs when guys are in scoring position.
using Waldron for the last couple, I assume. Like, what does that mean going forward? What went into that decision?
Well, we obviously know Giolito's coming at some point, relatively soon, and that leaves one guy out of the starting rotation probably, and so Waldy, is probably going to be that guy in the bullpen, and he picked us up today big time. We needed those 2 innings, and saved us for tomorrow. We're going to win. You're going to have a chance to win the next 3 games because he pitched those 2 innings tonight, which is pretty awesome and admirable.
So does he go to the bullpen now?
Yeah. He was in the bullpen today, and he'll be in the bullpen tomorrow and the next day, and going after that. So, what he did today was, amazing. Had to start a couple days ago and 1 day off. Tail between his legs, having not pitched well, and came out and gave us the 2 innings that we needed today to set us up for a chance to win tomorrow.
What works about him in the bullpen? I mean, that's kind of a question. Could he work in the bullpen? You guys obviously think he can. So
yeah, one, he's got a pretty resilient arm, and he can bounce back, and then he's also got an outlier pitch, in the knuckleball, which you can go to an 8-point. The other thing about him going to the pen is he's able to pitch a lot, and we saw that today. We started 2 days ago and pitched 2 innings today, so that's a valuable piece that we have.
The bullpen as a whole has had to cover a lot of innings this season. Like, how important is it that not be the case going forward, that you get maybe a little more from your starters? As good as your bullpen is, it's not covering maybe the innings that it has.
Yeah, vastly important. Starters will say, leave me in longer. And, the way we look at it is it's a little bit of yin and yang on that. And we've gotten some good starts, but we just need that consistent 1 through 5, them as a group, consistently going 5, 6, 7 innings if possible. And I think they will. Purposely early in the season, you want to take it easy on them and build them back up. A lot of those guys had injuries or things that they were dealing with in this offseason, trying to build them back up. So, we're getting to the point now where we can kind of let them go a little bit, but still, we have such an elite bullpen. We do need to use it, to help us win games. And so far, it's worked in our favor that way. Obviously, we can't tear them down and not have them at the end of the season. I was part of that 2021 season. We used the bullpen a ton. I pitched more innings than I ever had in my career. And by the end, were we a little cashed out? Maybe, maybe not. You don't really know. We were able to stay healthy, but, would we be as good as what we'd be? So I'm very cognizant of, how that's got to work for a full season.
You alluded to Giolito coming back soon. Is there a date on that?
No date. Soon.
TBD.
TBD.
TBD or TBA?
TBA or D.
One is decided. What's announced? All right. Hey, Gavin in there today. He'd had success against this guy. Reverse splits. Was it all kind of part of it?
Yeah, all part of that. And I just felt like the bats Gavin's been taking, and especially the one late last night. He deserves a chance against the lefty, and he has a couple good at bats again today.
That was Padres manager Craig Stammen following this 7-1 loss for the Padres in Milwaukee against the Brewers. Sam Levitt back with you inside our San Diego studios. TBA, TBD, whatever it is. It does sound like Lucas Giolito based on the Padres saying TBD officially for Saturday and Sunday as far as their starting pitchers. Does certainly seem like Giolito's going to appear at some point over the weekend. We do know that it'll be Randy Vasquez on the mound for the Padres tomorrow against Emerson Hancock on the mound for the Mariners. We'll talk more about that series coming up a little bit later. Look at the front end of the post-game comments there. You essentially heard Craig echo a lot of what I just said, which is, look, they're digging themselves holes early in these games, and they've done a good job digging out of them, but it's a tough way to live. And that's essentially what, Craig was saying at the start. I'll tell you what was the most interesting part of all that from Craig. Didn't sound to me like Matt Waldron's going anywhere. I mean, he said essentially Waldron would be available in the bullpen over the weekend. So begs the question, if Matt is staying, what will be the corresponding move when Lucas Giolito arrives? I mean, I'm going to go re-listen to it during the break just to make sure I'm understanding what he said. But that, at least that was not an answer that indicated, we used Matt Waldron today because he's going to get DFA'd, in the next couple of days. Didn't sound like that based on what Craig Stammen said. So does beg the question of, okay, what's the corresponding move going to be when Lucas Giolito arrives? So the Padres, and we've talked about it quite a bit, they're going to, continue having to make decisions about, some of these roster spots as guys come back. And, right now, Giolito is the next guy up that's back. So not back, but that's going to arrive after getting signed as a free agent. So that was kind of interesting there to hear, I guess, the idea that this was not a one-time thing for Matt Waldron out of the bullpen today and him covering innings because A, the Padres needed it, and B, look, I'll be honest, when he came in the game, on one hand, yeah, they needed innings covered today. On the other hand, I mean, you're sort of sitting there thinking, well, if there's a chance he's not going to be here once Giolito arrives, it kind of makes sense that he's, pitching some of these innings. You're going to use him. So I don't know that that's the case based on what we just heard. So that's an interesting little nugget there from Craig Stammen in the post-game comments. Padres fall 7-1 to the Brewers. We'll come back with more after this.
Nothing goes.
Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Final score today, Brewers 7 and the Padres 1. As always, our post-game coverage here on the Padres Radio Network is brought to you by Jamul Casino Resort. Hey, player, the rooftop pool's open, day passes are available, and the spa is calling your name. Jamul Casino Resort, the player's place. Let's tell you about today's relief pitcher of the game.
Which pitcher entered the game and slammed the door shut? This is today's relief pitcher of the game, brought to you by San Diego criminal defense attorney David P. Shapiro. We help good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime. Learn more at davidpshapirolaw.com.
Relief pitcher of the game today, well, why not give it to the guy who appears to be heading to the bullpen, and that is Matt Waldron, who was good today. 2 scoreless innings for Waldron out of the pen, 27 pitches, struck out 4, gave up 1 hit in this game. So Matt Waldron, 2 solid innings out of the pen. And as we heard from Craig Stammen moments ago, based on what Craig said, it sounds like Waldron's going to the bullpen for real, at least for the time being. And again, I think it's an interesting comment because it begs the question, when Lucas Giolito likely arrives at some point this weekend, well, somebody's got to come off this roster. And, I think for a lot of us, you kind of wondered if that would be Waldron when Giolito came back. But again, based on what Craig said after the game, I'm not so sure that's the case. So we'll keep an eye on that as the weekend moves along. But Matt Waldron coming out of the bullpen today, 2 scoreless innings. Yuki Matsui also very deserving, 2 scoreless innings. Ron Marinaccio did a good job, 2 1/3 innings, 1 run given up, through a career high 52 pitches as well for Marinaccio today. So look, the bullpen, forget the final score, forget the results. What those 3 guys did is they made sure on a day where Griffin Canning went just an inning and 2/3, they made sure that the Padres only had to use 3 arms out of that bullpen today, and it does set them up nicely for the weekend in Seattle. So good job by those guys, and we'll give relief pitcher of the game to Matt Waldron. Let's tell you about the Padres' heart of the order.
Let's take the pulse of the Padres and check in on the Heart of the Order, presented by Palomar Health, the official healthcare provider of 97.3 The Fan. Palomar Health, leading with heart for every patient. Palomar Health is reimagining healthcare.
Part of the order here today, we take a look at the 3, 4, 5 spots in the Padres lineup. Today it was Machado, Andujar, and Sheets. Manny went 1 for 3 with a single. Andujar had a base hit, a double in this game that came early. Gavin Sheets a single as well with a walk. So a hit for everybody in the heart of the order. Single for Manny, Andujar a double, Sheets a single. Relatively quiet day for those 3, 4, 5 spots. It's not like the Padres did not have early opportunities against Brewers left-hander Kyle Harrison. They had 2 in scoring position in the first inning, did not score. They had runners on first and third in the 4th inning, did not score. So look, they had some opportunities, but unfortunately Harrison able to get through 5 scoreless innings today. All right, let's step aside. When we come back, full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. We'll wrap things up, get you ready for tomorrow, the series opener in Seattle. Plus, we hand things over to today's edition of Gwynn and Chris right here on the Padres Radio Network. Back here on the Padres Radio Network on this Thursday afternoon. I think I said it was Wednesday a little bit earlier. It is indeed Thursday. I can't remember if I said Wednesday or Thursday, but now I'm telling you it's Thursday. You know what? You don't know what day it is? Go look at your phone. It'll tell you. Figure it out. All right. Can you tell we're in a great mood? We are in a good mood, despite the final score. Brewers win it 7-1 against the Padres in Milwaukee today. I'm sorry, that was a little rude of me. I don't think I've ever done that on the radio. little rude of me. Sam, get it together. Well, it's Thursday. Anyway, Thursday afternoon, we'll send things over to today's edition. I've got Nick cracking up here in the studio. He thought that was funny. All right, we'll send it over to today's edition of Gwen and Chris coming up in just a little bit. Again, a tough one today for the Padres. Griffin Canning, tough outing for him, really defined the day, giving up 6 runs in an inning and 2/3 today. Padres offense could not get it going against Kyle Harrison. Like we've said a handful of times already on the post game today, it was, look, anytime you fall behind 6-0 after 2 innings, you were asking for your offense to do a lot. And look, Padres did not have a lot going today against Kyle Harrison. You know, I keep saying that they didn't have a lot going, but I did point out earlier, again, they did have opportunities in this game, 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. They left 10 on base, but I do think you have to acknowledge they were down 6-0 most of this game, at least 6-0, then 7-0 for a lot of this game. That's always going to be a tough mountain to climb. All right, let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, tell you what's going on this Thursday around the major leagues.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Thursday. Games going on right now. We have one game going on, the A's and the Cardinals in Sacramento. A's leading 4-3 in the 9th inning in Sacramento. We have a number of finals already today. The Pirates beat the Rockies 7-2 in Pittsburgh. The Reds beat the Nationals 15-1 in Cincinnati. Reds beating up on the Nats in that one. Mets hit 5 home runs against the Tigers today in New York. The Mets sweeping that series from the Tigers. The Mets, who got off to just a rough start to the year, they're playing a little bit better. They win it today 9-4. Twins beat the Marlins 9-1 in Minnesota. The Mariners beat the Astros 8-3 in Houston. Mariners, like the Padres, will head to Seattle for the start of the 3-game series tomorrow. The game's coming up a little bit later. Phillies and the Red Sox at Fenway at 3:45. Jesus Luzardo on the mound for the Phillies. Ranger Suarez on the mound for the Red Sox. Suarez facing his former team. Cubs and the Braves in Atlanta at 4:15. Royals and the White Sox at 4:40 in Chicago. Giants and the Dodgers in LA at 7:10 later on this evening. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Thursday. Well, Padres fall 7-1 in Milwaukee. Again, the runs in the first couple of innings, really the big difference in this game. Let's hear today's play of the game.
One bounce, one hit, one pitch can be the difference between victory and defeat. What was the most important play in today's game? This is today's play of the game. Presented by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating and Air, Restoration and Flood. We know how.
3-2 with the bases loaded, 1 out, and the pitch is hit hard on the ground right side. That'll find its way into right center to base hit. Contreras has scored. Sanchez is on his way. The throw comes into second base. A 2-run single for Luis Rengifo, and the first hit of the day for the Brewers gives them a 3-0 lead.
Well, the 2-run single by Luis Rengifo is our play of the game. That was in the first inning. Again, the trouble for Griffin Canning in that first inning. That made it a 3-0 game. Brewers would score 3 more runs in the second, and they would take a 6-0 lead after 2 and ultimately win this game by a final score of 7-1. All right, we're going to actually continue on our post-game coverage here. If you want to get a phone call in, 833-288-0973, phone number to call. We're opening up the phone lines right now, 833-288-0973, phone number to dial if you want to get involved. We've got a little bit of extra time here to take some of your phone calls, so do call in. I'll chat with you for the next 15, 20 minutes or so. Again, the Padres fall 7-1 to the Brewers on this Thursday. We'll take your phone calls and more after this.
Hey, bada bada, swing bada bada.
This is attorney Dan Fulkerson with Bada Fulkerson Law Group, San Diego's favorite personal injury law firm.
Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Final score here today, the Brewers 7 and the Padres 1. Phone number to call if you want to get involved, 833-288-0973. The phone number to dial if you want to chime in about today's game. Obviously not the series the Padres wanted, despite winning yesterday, losing 2 out of 3 to the Milwaukee Brewers. But hey, that's baseball, and so we'll see if the Padres can get it going from an offensive standpoint, from a starting pitching standpoint, too, after what was a rough outing today against the Milwaukee Brewers for Griffin Canning. All right, let's go to the phones. 833-288-0973. Let's go to Sam in Del Mar calling in. Hi, Sam. You'll lead us off today on the phones. Go ahead.
Sammy, let's go. I mean, at the end of the day, we held the Brewers to 1 home run. So what is that? The last 10 games that we've played them, they've hit, 3 home runs against us? We're keeping them in the park, which is always good to see. Unfortunately, Canning couldn't get out of the third, and, the bullpen held it down and just, gave us a chance to come back, but it didn't happen today. I think that we're just all at a loss, just kind of waiting to, run the storm here and wait till these guys can really get going and put together some consistency on the offensive side. Our pitching's doing everything they can. It's just one of those games that we couldn't, put it all together.
Yeah, well, look, Sam, and appreciate the phone call. I think clearly the issue is multifaceted today in particular. Now, look, the starting pitching has certainly been better than what it was today. But yeah, look, today in particular was a game where nothing went right. I mean, the starting pitching wasn't great. The bullpen was good, but you were down 6-7-0 by the time they came in. And look, the offense, to me, that's the bigger picture issue. And I don't think there's any way around it. And again, I hate to kind of pour cold water on what is otherwise been a really, really good start for this baseball team. I mean, even after today, they're 25-18. They entered the day a half game up on the Dodgers for first place in the NL West. But again, we're talking about standings here in mid-May. It doesn't really, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but you're not overly focused on the standings in mid-May. The offensive stuff to me is the bigger picture issue stuff where you're waiting for this offense to kick it into a higher gear. And right now, from the star guys, I mean, I hate to say it, but there's not a whole lot of signs that it's percolating, right? I mean, Fernando had another tough day, 0 for 5 with 3 strikeouts. Manny's hitting still 190. Merrill struggled. He was out of the lineup today. Xander's cooled off quite a bit. With all that said, Laureano's continued to struggle. Had a base hit today, hit a ball hard yesterday. Hopefully that's a sign of him starting to come out of it. But there's no way around it. I think in the big picture, yeah, they're going to need these guys to hit. And again, we pointed out the issues earlier in the early parts of these games. And Craig said it after the game as well. They're living dangerously by falling behind so often. And they're getting outscored a lot at the end, or I should say at the beginning of these games. Now, to their credit again, and we had this stat for you in the post game today, or I should say in the pregame today. The Padres heading into today had outscored opponents 77-51 in the 7th inning or later this season. Okay, second best run differential in the majors in the 7th inning or later. So again, two things can be true at once. They're getting outscored early and they're outscoring opponents by a lot late. They're getting outscored by a lot early and they're outscoring opponents by a lot late. And it rings true to what the games have been, right? Where they're falling behind. They've been remarkable so far at digging themselves out of holes and finding ways to come back. But it's, again, throughout the course of a long season, I just think it's a tough way to live. And it's a tough way to consistently win games over the course of a long year. And you heard Craig Stammen echo that just a couple of moments ago. All right, let's take one more break here. We'll come back. If you want to squeeze another phone call in, 833-288-0973, phone number to call. And we'll wrap things up, get you ready for today's edition of Gwynn and Chris. Again, the final score today, Brewers 7, Padres 1. Let's take one more break. We'll come back, wrap it up after this on the Padres Radio Network.
Your home protects you from the San Diego sun. But what's protecting your home? Constant heat and UV rays take a toll on shingles and energy efficiency. At Genesis Home Improvements, we're proud to be the 2025 Torch Awards for Ethics Final.
Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Again, the final score today, Brewers 7 and the Padres 1. Padres will now head on to Seattle for the first game of a 3-game series against the Mariners tomorrow evening. We'll talk about that ball game in just a second. Again, quickly to recap this one before we head out for the day. Again, Griffin Canning, a tough outing for him today. Canning going just an inning and 2/3, giving up 6 runs. Padres were down 6-0 after 2 innings in this game, and they were unable to recover. Kyle Harrison, good young left-hander for the Brewers today, 5 scoreless innings. Bullpen again did do a good job in this game, covering a lot of innings. You had Marinaccio, Matsui, and Waldron combining for 6 1/3 innings out of the bullpen today, and they gave up a combined 1 run on 5 hits. So they did a good job putting the Padres bullpen in a good position for this upcoming series in Seattle. Padres did have opportunities offensively kind of throughout the game. They went 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. They left 10 on base. Look, I'm giving you the numbers. There wasn't a ton pretty from this ball game from a Padres standpoint today, but we'll see if they can bounce back tomorrow in Seattle. That's where they're going right now. And looking ahead to the 3-game series in Seattle, here's how it looks right now over the weekend. Tomorrow, it'll be right-hander Randy Vasquez on the mound for the Padres against right-hander Emerson Hancock. First pitch tomorrow at 6:40 p.m. Our pregame coverage will begin at 5:40. And just to take a look at the rest of the series, right-hander Logan Gilbert on the mound for the Mariners on Saturday. Right-hander George Kirby on the mound for the Mariners on Sunday. So 3 really good right-handers going for the M's, and Hancock, Gilbert, and Kirby. Again, Vasquez tomorrow for the Padres. And right now, Saturday and Sunday, it is TBA. We do expect that Lucas Giolito in all likelihood will make his Padres debut at some point over the weekend. Whether that will be Saturday or Sunday is TBD, but there's a lot to look forward to over the weekend, certainly. And then I do want to remind you, Padres then return home for the start of a 9-game homestand against the Dodgers, A's, and Phillies beginning on Monday, including that 3-game series against the LA Dodgers. Beginning on Monday should be a lot of fun at Petco Park as the 2 NL West rivals, who are very close to one another in the standings. Padres entered the day a half game up on LA for first place in the National League West. Those 2 teams will meet for the very first time in the early part of this coming week. So look forward to seeing you at Petco Park for the Dodgers series and the rest of what should be a very long and very fun 9-game homestand. As always, if you missed any portion of our post-game coverage, you can go back and listen to all of it on the Inside San Diego Baseball podcast, available on the Odyssey app, or wherever you find your podcast. You can also go back on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube channel and watch any portion of our post-game coverage there as well. Taking a look at the final totals here today for the Milwaukee Brewers. 7 runs, 10 hits, no errors. They left on 9. For the Padres, 1 run, 7 hits, 2 errors. They left on 10. Winning pitcher today, Kyle Harrison, who improves to 4-1. Losing pitcher, Griffin Canning, who drops to 0-2. Time of game, 3 hours on the dot, and the crowd today at American Family Field in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 34,862. Once again, first pitch tomorrow at 6:40 p.m. for Game 1 of the 3-game series in Seattle. Our pregame coverage begins at 5:40. Until then, for our great studio coordinator, Nick Danucci, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long from inside our San Diego studios. Again, the final score today, the Milwaukee Brewers 7 and the San Diego Padres 1. Today's edition of Gwynn and Chris coming up next.